Please help me welcome on stage architect Sonali Rastogi.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the graveyard session. I hope I can wake you up a little bit. So the topic, evolution, innovation, is a little bit confusing for me because I kind of think they're one and the same in some way. So I'm just going to read out some notes I jotted down this morning that I wanted to share just to place you as to what I'm thinking about and why I get confused between these two terms. So I believe that we are living a borderline phase of the history of mankind. Architects often philosophically term it as paradigm shift. This shift equals to change. Change is often the force behind innovation. The change involves new thinking about the city, about the environment, which we definitely need to be doing that in Delhi, and about places of sharing and habitat. But above all, it involves a change in the perspective of human beings. Today, architecture and machines are changing quickly. I guess at this moment, the latter outpaces architecture of the physical kind for sure. I mean, I'm not talking about digital architecture, but it's that which is outpacing architecture today for sure. Perhaps this is because man has recently started to become aware of the changes. It seems so, which is why we are in the environment that we are. And the decision that it's compelled to make. I think it's a sense of self-preservation related to environmental concerns and maybe a sense of FOMO. I think all the students that are here will know what I'm talking about, fear of missing out, from technology racing away to some very distant destination. So it seems like technology is racing away somewhere else and architecture is kind of situated somewhere else. So the other expressive mediums, literature, cinema, they've tackled the matter very easily. You go to Netflix and you'll see many movies which are based around the themes of evolution and innovation. And they basically describe the background of human activity as this sort of frantic technological progress, loss of human nature, loss of moral responsibility, anxiety and struggle. So I believe that during this process of both excitement and anxiety, humanity will change in line with environmental forces and, driven by an sort of almost epigenetic development in technology. I believe that an exciting future will be materialized in the evolution and innovation relationship between human beings and technology and architecture if it catches up. Whilst I look forward to this exciting future, I also understand it to be in continuum with the past. So I want to bring to you today a couple of examples from my recent past. These by no means or measures have even begun to touch on what I'm expecting from this stage of evolution and technology to do, but it still has some kind of rethinking innovation, I guess. And thus I thought this is what I would like to share with all of you. So this is a project which we believe, I'm not entirely sure, we believe that it's the world's largest doubly curving microclimate screen. It's on a west-facing, very harsh climate region. And, one thing is to use nice software and make parametric shapes and things. The other is to build it. And the building had to be relied on with Indian jugaad. So with a lot of technology, but a lot of Indian jugaad. So I think there's a movie that's supposed to... The short movie capturing some of it that the site made. So that's locating 17,000 points on the doubly curving wall. High-tech shuttering, but not enough money available to use all of it. So put together with Indian gittis. So a lot of jugaad to make it happen. So it's 13,000 square meters of doubly curved surfaces going up at the same time. So you can see both ends of the spectrum. The coolie with the concrete mix on the head is still very much present. The hammer and the gitti is very much there. But the plotting is all computerized. So this is kind of, it's like for me, you know, a lot of innovation and sort of enterprising thought that we seem to have in India. And it can be from how we maneuver technology, it can be from how we build things on our side. It's about, so for me, architecture is a sort of a passionate profession, because it allows you to think innovatively at literally every single day. Some little thing you can do which is innovative. And this site and putting together this wall in the budget was one of those recent achievements that I feel very happy about. And that's the idea where it began from. So this is otherwise would look like feel like a regular tower, and I'm not going to today talk about the building. What I'm going to talk about is this, where it began. So in water-starved Gurgaon, this project sat on an underground stream, and it became almost impossible to think of how to build it without spending 5 times more in the foundation than the actual building. After collaborating with a lot of very knowledgeable engineers, hydrologists, soil mechanics engineers, a system was invented where the water is actually not kept out of the foundation. So these squares that you see and the tunnel, gullies running in between, they all eventually got hundreds of tubes which look like cycle tire tubes, and the water constantly gushes up into the foundation and gushes out all day long. So, and enough of it, it provides like much more than what the building needs, so the building doesn't use any outside water. As much as what is needed is treated, and the rest, the building moves in, the water moves in and out of the foundation the whole time. And that's for, I think, most of you architects. So for most of you, you can see that the building is actually sitting in a stream, and the upthrust has been dealt with by underslab drainage, where it just goes out through cycle tubes. So maybe for an engineering, it was something, as long as we got together the right engineers, I mean, for them, maybe it wasn't that exciting. For me, it was mine and my team's skill at its innovative best. The whole idea that one can build a building, which is at that point when it was conceived the highest in Gurgaon, probably highest in northern India, and the water is always in and out of the basement. And so for me, that's why I'm in this profession. It's like every single day there is some hope to innovate and some new learning. Which is why I don't understand the difference between evolution and innovation. I mean, this is an evolution in collaborative working, and it's an evolution in how to deal and not waste, and how to completely recycle, and how not to work against nature. We are living one with water. And well, this is a picture which is a little bit old on the right hand side. Now it's complete, the project. So this is another project which has another kind of innovation going on it. Otherwise, like technology wise, it's very simple. But you see all these vertical facades. This is perhaps, again, I don't actually have data to support that, but what I'm told by the client that it's the world's largest urban art installation. So this project involved a Shantiniketan school and involved a lot of local artist community. So we've always talked about being socially sustainable, involving using local material, involving the local skills. But in this project, actually every possible artist, sculptors, stone workers that could be found within a 300-kilometer radius were brought to site, and art competitions were held. And all the artwork of this site, like what you see in the 3D rendering is a Jamni Roy, but actually that's not what is going to be there. So I'll show you the works that were produced. So these are the works that came out of the competition. They were then worked upon by 2 master artists who kind of unified the look somewhat and reworked with these people. So there were hundreds of artists on site. And the theme was based around Calcutta and the seasons of Calcutta. So for me, I mean, we don't have the resources that Shah Jahan had to actually have 20,000 stone workers carving away day in and day night out. But have to, I think, have evolution in the mind. And to say that, yes, I cannot create that kind of livelihood, nor do I have that kind of time to build buildings, yet to socially sustain the communities. So we have Bengalis anyways, like art is in their blood. So catch hold of a whole bunch of Bengal people, and here is what is getting made. Most of these works are they are from 12 to 18 floors high each. This is the first work, that sample that started to get made. Now here is where technology comes into play. And the stone cutting is happening, like each work is going to be up in like 7 or 8 days. And there are dozens of these works. So whilst I have to move with the time, and I don't have that sort of time or money or resource, I also don't really feel like having people sitting in that humidity and chipping away at stone. But the talent and the skill has been harnessed, and machines are being used to transfer it. So I'm not sure exactly if this would qualify as cutting edge technology or innovation, but it is an innovative way of getting the community to contribute and sustain a very large number of so-called starving artists. So here's another, in the same project, another screen that actually works with technology to literally transfer a lot of Tagore philosophy and draw upon it from various poetry, and here we are. So a building which is like a jigsaw puzzle of Tagore, inspired by Tagore, where all his key words can be read in the crossword, and a lot of it can be read as continuous sentences. And it's calibrated for the right amount of perforations needed as per the orientation. And these are the first samples up on site. And again, I mean, I have a machine cutting it, sure, but the kind of the number of poets and exponents of Tagore poetry who contributed to this, for me, is part of an innovative way of thinking about social sustainability. And that is the project. So this was a project that unfortunately is not getting built because of it was below sea level and it hasn't got environmental clearance as yet. But it's a tricky piece of land which had kind of, it was a fishery, prawn farm. So it had 5 meters of land and 5 meters of water, and 5 meters of land and 5 meters of water. So to think how to place things and make it a workable hotel where things can reach people in the right amount of time, and they really had to reach in the right amount of time because they were planning to charge 60,000 rupees per night for people to stay here. So just for the heck of it, because one of my associates had just finished learning coding and had done a master's in digital something or the other, and I am a huge sponge for thriving on other people's knowledge, because I find with age mine is diminishing at an exponential rate. So I really need lots of associates versus what I heard earlier in the evening that people have a preference to stay small. I have a fear of losing out if I stay small, because I need lots of people to sponge off knowledge all the time. So one of my colleagues who had learned coding said to me that let's try coding and let's give it a certain parameters. So you give it a parameter that I must get from point A to point B in like 11 minutes. I must only cross 3 water channels. I must do housekeeping must reach in the shortest possible way. So a whole bunch of things, including environmental considerations, that what is wind velocities, what do we, and it's very humid and muggy, so we need to accelerate wind velocity. So what is the ideal distance between two habitations to accelerate wind velocity? So a lot of these parameters were given, and this green that you see, that was the land, and the blue was the water. So that was a typical section of a 38-acre piece of land. So these were some of the, from the scripting, and I'm sure all the students there know all about scripting. For me, it was kind of a new concept. So, you know, like you can see the parameters put in: equal distribution of units, no villa within 10-meter radius of node points, because also people were going to pay so much money to stay here, they also were seeking sort of a little bit of solitariness. And you can see, these were like 6 conditions, and there were many more. So I've just taken a snapshot of 6 of them. Okay, and based on all these parameters we kept feeding in. So then we said, okay, we need a footpath within this much distance of every node, and kept defining and going further and further, and in the end I think we had some 60 or 65 criteria. And this was just a snapshot of the code. I simply put it there because things that I don't understand really amaze me. So I don't understand coding, but I understood its potential that day. And this was the end product. And the product was also in shape inspired by context, but generated, the master plan was generated by modern technology, which for the youth of today is very commonplace, but for me it was amazing. So this is one of my favorite and one of my oldest projects. This was done actually without any simulation or without using any of the computational support I could have. I do today. And it used very simple architectural planning principles and ways of accelerating wind speed, and kind of inspired by Bowley's. Students were expected to hang out in the underbelly because the school was not air conditioned except for a few labs. In the underbelly, there was no water supply at all, like there was no municipal authority in this region, so entire water was from sewage treatment plant. And a very simple inspiration was taken to save cost, which was from the pots, matkas, and that's a site in construction. So I think this was innovation. I think this was evolution. The pot has been put to much better use than it is now used nowadays. So it's been put to much better use, and so therefore it's evolution. And it's innovative because just took an age-old technique and just retranslated it for 2 things: for insulation at the upper levels, at the lower level just to get this architecturally flush look where there's no upstand, which all of you will understand kind of, yeah. And a screen was used to actually hide all the mess behind, because, and of course it's an environmental screen, because there was just no money to kind of hide it otherwise. And I'm really fond of this project because it was just really simple, and I consider simplicity like this as the mother of all innovation. And that is a finished project. And that's students in that school. And all of you back there, I think you'd identify with this. So this is, I love this. So we often take a lot of our office tours to the school, and we find that even all of us land up sitting like that all the time. And that's it. Thank you.